tasked with unveiling the truths of manifestations of faith and the warp. These are pivotal forces in the Imperium's eternal struggle against chaos and the preservation of humanity. Manifestations of faith, you see, are no ordinary happenings. They manifest as spiritual leaders or figures throughout history, believed to be chosen by the God Emperor himself. Their divine teachings and guidance ripple across humanity, offering hope, unity, and a moral compass amidst the galaxy's darkness. But there's a darker side to this cosmic tale. The warp, an alternate dimension teeming with psychic energy, harbors malevolent forces of chaos. A realm of nightmares, the warp is home to demons and puppets of the chaos gods, craving to corrupt and obliterate all that's sacred. Now here's where it gets troublesome. The connection between manifestations of faith and the warp runs deep. When these spiritual figures amass devoted followings, their emotions and beliefs resonate within the Imperium, the warp's realm. Chaos entities are like moths to a flame, drawn by potent emotions of faith, fear, and devotion. As an agent of the Inquisition, it falls upon my shoulders to stay vigilant. We must decipher the true nature of these manifestations, ensuring they align with the God Emperor's will and don't unknowingly channel the warp's influence. Chaos corruption can creep into cults or misguided faith faster than you can blink, and it's our solemn duty to hunt down such treachery. But the warp, it's a treacherous maze. Its insidious influence leaks into our reality in unpredictable ways. Thin veils in the Imperium could lead to disturbances in real space, drawing demonic incursions and demonic possession. Even the most righteous souls are at risk of temptation if they don't keep their wits sharp. So let me impart this wisdom upon you. Be watchful for signs of warp corruption and exercise discernment with manifestations of faith. While faith can be a powerful weapon for the Imperium, it must be balanced with reason and loyalty to the God Emperor. Our vigilance against the terrors of the warp and defense against heresy and chaos are the keys to the Imperium's survival. Trust in the Emperor's divine light. Together, we'll fend off the encroaching darkness threatening our realm. But first, let me take you on a mind journey, not as a personal belief, but an intriguing what-if scenario. What if the warp, that eerie Imperium, isn't inherently evil, but a natural, neutral aspect of the universe? Picture this, the warp, an alternate dimension pulsing with psychic energy, interweaving with the fabric of our material universe, a realm of pure power molded by sentient beings' collective thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. It's like a reflection of every creature's mind, good and bad alike. From this curious perspective, the warp could be viewed as a natural and neutral force, devoid of concepts like good or evil. It's a medium for unleashing psychic abilities and powers, opening up the cosmic doorways for Imperium's interstellar ventures. Those chaos gods and those dark demons dwelling in the warp aren't necessarily born out of evil intent. Instead, they're born from the negative emotions and desires haunting humanity. The warp, you see, is like an unfiltered mirror of sentient experiences, showing the entire spectrum from love and joy to fear and hate. So is the warp evil then? Well, not entirely. It all boils down to those who seek to play with its power. Those chaos entities feed on the bad or excess energies of sentient beings. See, the Imperium's fight against chaos is a battle of the angels and demons dwelling in our hearts. The warp's is like a stage where this grand drama plays out. But mind you, the warp isn't a harmless playground. It's like a shadowy abyss, filled with energies that can swallow minds and souls, given half a chance. So the Imperium's stance in seeing it as malevolent is no accident. Centuries of hard lessons and catastrophic mishaps have taught us that unbridled psychic powers can quickly turn from peaceful to catastrophic. Our mission stays clear: protect humanity from warp's treacherous grip, regardless of its true nature. So while I spin this hypothetical yarn, remember the warp's an enigma, a cosmic minefield that demands vigilance and caution. Back before Slaanesh reared its ugly head. Now mind you, most of this knowledge is obscured by the ravages of time, but some intriguing accounts make you wonder what the warp was like in those days of yore. A time when the warp was like a vast, placid sea of psychic energy. All the reflections of sentient beings mingled gently, creating a tranquil and dreamy landscape that echoed the thoughts and emotions of the galaxy's inhabitants in a more measured and controlled way. The Eldari had a deep bond with the warp, being powerful psychers. Their advanced civilization let them use their energies responsibly. They lived in balance between the material and immaterial realms, and their souls were said to reincarnate, renewing the cycle of life and death. In those bygone days, the warp wasn't tainted yet, and hadn't felt the extremes of emotion and unchecked desire that would later birth Slaanesh. They had a psychic harmony. Their society, arts, and technologies were infused with this spiritual understanding, taking them to heights no one else had ever reached. But with great power comes great temptation. Their civilization hit its peak, but also fell prey to decadence and hedonism. Pleasure and excess were their calling cards, and they indulged in many kinds of twisted desires, like creating perverse cults. And all this darkness started polluting the once serene warp. Then, a cataclysm, a psychic explosion. Slaanesh was born, the Prince of Pleasure. The warp changed for good, no more serenity. Then chaos kicked in, and the malevolent chaos gods came into being while always there, creating the great game. As we know it now, chaos versus order, Imperium versus Materium. The shockwave changing the galaxy forever. Some researchers think that the ancient serene warp was a mirror of the Eldari's collective psychic harmony. Their balanced and controlled emotions shaped it into a more peaceful and serene. Their collective debauchery birthed Slaanesh, slowly turning the Imperium from a sea of energy to a raging torrent. Our collective worship of the God Emperor reverberates through the Imperium, uniting trillions under the banner of faith. It's a belief system that exalts the Emperor, casting him as a divine savior of humanity. In the ethereal warp, the Imperial cult weaves the Emperor's presence from its devout followers' collective beliefs and psychic energies. The Emperor's psychic might was formidable during his mortal days, and even entombed on the Golden Throne, his legacy echoes on. His apotheosis during the Horus Heresy solidified his divinity within the faith. Within the Imperium, the warp mirrors the sentiments of sentient beings, their beliefs, emotions, and psychic energy. And the Emperor's divinity finds a place amidst the psychic tapestry. The unwavering faith and devotion of billions coalesce into an entity known as the Emperor's divine will. It reflects the Emperor's essence, an amalgamation of collective prayers, hope, and fervor. Yet it's crucial to understand that the Emperor's divine will isn't a sentient being or a chaos god. It's a pure expression of the Emperor's will and power, a beacon of solace and strength. It comforts the faithful in the dark corners of despair, igniting hope in the bleakest moments. Moreover, the Emperor's divine will acts as a psychic bulwark against the swirling malevolence of chaos in the warp. Its presence deters demonic incursions and protects the Imperium's worlds. The Emperor's psychic light banishes warp shadows, granting Imperial vessels safe passage through the treacherous Imperium. Beyond its protective aura, the Emperor's divine will seemingly influences living saints and the Legion of the Damned. These entities embody the Emperor's spirit, champions of the Imperium. They stand as beacons of hope, fierce symbols of resistance against the encroaching darkness. In the swirling depths of the warp, the Emperor's divine will shines, a guiding light for the faithful and a force to fend off the encroaching horrors. The Imperium's faith strengthens its resolve as it faces the unyielding darkness of the cosmos. I tread cautiously when comparing the Emperor and the Chaos God, Slaanesh. Superficial similarities in their origins exist, but I must emphasize their vast differences and their roles in the galaxy. The Imperial cult revolves around worshipping the God Emperor of mankind, a revered figure who brought unity and stability to the Imperium. Born as a powerful psyker in ancient times, the Emperor sought humanity's progress, enlightenment, and survival. His teachings inspired billions, leading to the formation of the Imperial cult, venerating him as a divine figure and humanity's savior. On the other hand, Slaanesh, the chaos god of pleasure, excess, and decadence, emerged from the psychic gestalt of the Eldari. Their indulgent pursuit of pleasure birthed this chaos god, an event known as the Fall of the Eldari. Slaanesh's birth devastated the Eldari civilization and reshaped the galaxy, creating the Eye of Terror. Though the Emperor we know now and Slaanesh was born from collective psychic energies, their intentions and consequences drastically differ. The Emperor seeks to uplift and protect humanity, while Slaanesh embodied excess and hedonism, corrupting its followers. Moreover, The Emperor's presence manifests as the Emperor's divine will, a beacon of hope and stability in the warp. It serves as a bulwark against chaos, offering protection and guidance to the faithful. In stark contrast, Slaanesh is one of the 4 major chaos gods, epitomizing the darkest aspects of the warp. The Dark Prince's realm is marked by eternal strife and excess, with its demonic servants perpetuating suffering and corruption. While the origins of the Emperor and Slaanesh bear similarities, their purposes, natures, and impacts on the galaxy are fundamentally divergent. The Emperor represents humanity's virtues and survival, while Slaanesh embodies the darkest facets of the warp, spreading corruption and malevolence. Within the hallowed halls of the Imperial cult, debates rage like infernos over the nature of the Emperor. Fiery and fervent opinions flicker among the faithful and factions, illuminating the deep chasms of theological inquiry. But amid this maelstrom of belief, a doctrine stands firm and unyielding, etched in sacred texts and carved into the very hearts of its adherents. The Emperor is both man and god. In life, the Emperor blazed as a powerful psyker, an extraordinary being who sculpted the Imperium of man from the ashes of division. Yet, he was but a man, leading humanity on a path of unity and progress. Then came the cataclysmic Horus Heresy, a blood-soaked tragedy that severed the Emperor's mortal form and chained him to the accursed Golden Throne. A sacrifice, yes, to sustain the Astronomicon and shield the Imperium, but one that altered his essence forever. In the aftermath of this transformation, the Emperor's psychic presence burgeoned within the warp, swelling like a bloated leviathan of the immaterium. He ascended, transcending his humanity, becoming a figure akin to a god. His psychic energy radiated through the cosmos, manifesting as the Emperor's divine will. The faithful clasped this divine aspect to their hearts, venerating him as the Omniscient and the immortal God-Emperor of mankind. The theology of the Imperial cult entwines the Emperor's mortal feats with his godly essence, forging an unbreakable bond between man and the divine. In their eyes, he remains a guiding light, a protector of humanity, a god among men. Like an unseen hand, his divine will guides their actions and weaves its way through their lives. Yet mysteries shroud the Emperor's true nature. Amid the chanting masses and revered doctrines, whispers and shadows of doubt haunt the corridors of belief. It is our sacred duty to safeguard the sanctioned teachings of the Imperial cult, to shield its sacred truths from tainting hands. Like haunting phantoms, the echoes of dissent drift beyond the ecclesiarchy's confines. Doubts linger in the darkness, dancing like specters in the minds of those who dare question the accepted truths. But I, a loyal servant of the Emperor, stand as a guardian of faith, a sentinel of belief. Within the sanctioned dogmas, the Emperor is both man and God. This is the creed that guides us, the tether that binds us, and my solemn duty is to carry its sacred flame through the corridors of time. In the realm of speculation, one might entertain the notion that the Emperor's rise to godhood was not a preordained event, but a result of humanity's collective psychic potential. Much like the Eldari's psychic excesses that spawned Slaanesh, humanity's vast numbers, unwavering faith, and latent psychic potential could have contributed to the Emperor's transformation into a potent warp entity. During the turbulent age of strife and the ambitious Great Crusade, the Emperor's psychic presence was already considerable, given his immense abilities and leadership over the budding Imperium. As he led the Great Crusade to reunite humanity, he drew trillions of souls to his cause, each adding their own psychic essence to the growing beacon of faith. This tidal wave of psychic energy and unwavering devotion, combined with the Emperor's formidable powers, might have set in motion an extraordinary metamorphosis. The fervent belief of billions, if not trillions of souls in the Emperor's divine nature, could have sparked a powerful feedback loop of psychic energy that culminated in the Emperor's ascension as a new god. In this speculative view, the Emperor's apotheosis would not be a premeditated act of ascension, but an unforeseen outcome of humanity's collective faith. It would mirror the Eldari's creation of Slaanesh, where their indulgence and psychic strength gave birth to the chaos god of excess. As the Emperor's psychic presence rippled through the warp, it could have drawn the attention and reverence of various warp entities and beings, reinforcing his burgeoning godhood. With the passage of time, the Emperor's divine essence would have grown, shaping the beliefs of the Imperial cult and becoming a focal point of faith for countless souls throughout the vast Imperium. Of course, such speculative theories remain shrouded in mystery, as the nature of the warp and the emergence of gods defy easy explanation. Yet, as with all enigmas, it is within our nature to explore, question, and seek understanding in the face of the unknown. For in the ever-twisting corridors of the warp, the truth may await those with the courage to seek it. Like flickering torches, each individual's faith casts a beam of light that adds to the grand flame of the Emperor's divinity. The collective devotion of Imperial citizens, from the lofty officials to the humblest soldiers, creates a potent psychic presence that seeps into the very fabric of the warp. This immense beacon draws the attention and reverence of countless entities in the warp, further stoking the fires of the Emperor's godly essence. It also stands as a barrier against the malevolent forces of chaos, a fortification that shields the Imperium from their insidious designs. In this perspective, the Emperor's godhood isn't a singular, overtly displayed deity, but a living, ever-changing entity, born from the collective consciousness of the faithful. It's the culmination of the Emperor's grand vision for humanity, where his wisdom, guidance, and psychic might extend beyond the bounds of mortality to influence the fate of the Imperium. However, we must remember that the Emperor's divinity is a matter of faith and belief. The Imperial cult and the Adeptus Ministorum diligently propagate this belief, highlighting the Emperor's godhood to unite the Imperium and fortify its resilience against its many threats. Faith is the compass guiding them all in this labyrinth of the warp. But what truly holds this sprawling empire together, despite countless threats and challenges? The answer, without a doubt, is faith. Faith is the lifeblood of the Imperium. It is the unifying force that binds its people and institutions together. From the towering spires of terror to the furthest reaches of the galaxy, the fervent belief in the Emperor and the Imperial creed sustains the Imperium against the tides of heresy, xenos, and chaos. At the heart of this faith lies the veneration of the Emperor of mankind, the immortal ruler who sacrificed himself for the good of humanity. The ecclesiarchy revered him as a god, and his guidance is sought in every aspect of life. The Emperor's divinity is the bedrock upon which the Imperium stands, and faith in his divine providence infuses strength and purpose into the hearts of Imperial citizens. This faith extends beyond just the Emperor. It encompasses a pantheon of saints and martyrs, revered figures whose deeds and sacrifices are celebrated and commemorated throughout the Imperium. Each world and sector has its own unique traditions and beliefs, but all are united by the common thread of devotion to the Emperor and the values he represents. The Imperial creed, upheld and spread by the ecclesiarchy, serves as the unifying ideology of the Imperium. It provides moral guidance, ethical principles, and a sense of identity for its followers. Through sermons, rituals, and sacred texts, the ecclesiarchy ensures that faith is woven into the fabric of every imperial society, from the noblest lords to the lowliest serfs. Without faith, the Imperium would crumble into chaos. It is the force that keeps the countless worlds of the Imperium bound together, united in purpose, and resolute in the face of overwhelming odds. In times of darkness and despair, faith gives hope, and in moments of triumph, faith fuels the resolve to continue the eternal struggle against all threats to humanity. Most recently, on the world of Iax, militant apostolic brother Mathieu, appointed by the Lord Guilliman himself, lead a Frateris militia to fight the foul taint of Nurgle. The Frateris militia, a force zealous and fanatical, formed of Imperial citizens devout in their faith in the Emperor as a divine being. I can't help but observe their potent force of faith and conviction, unwavering in their belief in the Emperor's divinity. When the conflict raged on Iax, the Frateris militia emerged as crucial guardians of Imperial morale and protection. Their unwavering devotion was a shield against the corrupting clutches of Nurgle's diseases, fortifying Imperial forces against the vile contagions. Their belief was a psychic barrier, guarding the soldiers from the worst effects of Nurgle's plagues. Reportedly, Mathieu transformed into a living saint, a manifestation of the Emperor's might. His divine connection empowered him to create a shield, protecting Imperial servants from the taint of Nurgle's cauldron, a testimony to the incredible power of unwavering faith in the Emperor's divine grace. From an Imperial librarian's perspective, the Frateris militia proved instrumental in shifting the tides of battle on IX. Their unyielding belief and conviction were intangible, yet indispensable, safeguarding the Imperium against the darkest threats. In their faith lay the true strength of the Emperor's protection. The Imperium stands as a towering colossus, a sprawling tapestry of worlds and beings, each with unique beliefs, tongues, and dreams. A diverse mosaic could easily fray and splinter, consumed by the voracious jaws of discord. But faith, oh faith, it unifies. Faith in the Emperor and the Imperial cult, a spiritual anchor, a shared creed that holds the fragmented pieces of the Imperium together. The Emperor's divine visage looms large in the echoes of chapels and cathedrals. Faith, far more than the mere fancies of belief, has intertwined itself into the very roots of the Imperium's governance. A potent elixir, it casts the spell of unity, weaving the disparate hearts of billions into one harmonious rhythm. At the helm, the ruling elite deftly wields this enchantment of belief, for in faith they find the levers of control and order. A divine tapestry they spin, drawing their subjects into its intricate weave. The Emperor's omniscient gaze is painted in every brushstroke, dissuading defiance and fanning the fires of obedience, a hierarchical symphony, with the devout bowing to the will of their divine sovereign. And in the darkest corridors of terror, the warp lies in wait. Demons and other abominations leer hungrily, a maelstrom of chaos, desperate to devour the sanity and souls of mortals. But faith it fortifies. A shield woven of fervent belief, the Emperor's divine mantle protects his loyal servants, a resolute bulwark against the chaotic tides. Ancient echoes whisper of humanity's past, the diverse pantheon of gods once revered on Terra. But in this grand tapestry, the evolution of belief unfurled, the transition to the Imperial cult, and the ascent of the Emperor as the sole divine figure. A logical shift, riding the currents of the human spirit's yearning for worship. Amidst the unrelenting darkness, hope flickers like a solitary flame. Faith in the Emperor, a beacon amidst the void, a belief that they serve a higher purpose, that their trials are not in vain. An anchor for the lost, a refuge for the weary, a spark that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how dire the odds. But like a two-headed coin, faith has its darker side. Amidst the grand tapestry, threads of fanaticism are woven, intolerance festers, and dissent is suppressed with an iron fist. The Inquisition, wielding the divine might of faith, seeking heresy, punishing deviation with unyielding zeal. I tread the treacherous path of knowledge, aware of the dark whispers that lurk in the shadows. The topic at hand, the interplay between the Imperial creed and the Chaos gods, is a precarious one, where caution and secrecy are paramount. Within the Imperium of man, the Imperial creed reigns supreme. Its faithful followers bow before the Golden Throne, praising their God-King, seeking protection from the malevolent clutches of chaos and its vile denizens. But in this fervent worship lies the paradox of faith, an unintended consequence that unwittingly feeds the darkness it seeks to banish. Belief, a potent force, courses through the warp. The collective devotion and loyalty of billions of souls direct their psychic beacon toward the Emperor, amplifying his presence within the Immaterium. Yet, in this dance of worship, a dangerous truth emerges, for where there is light, there must be darkness. The Creed, with its zealous teachings against chaos, inadvertently acknowledges its existence and its power. By defining itself in opposition, it unwittingly breathes life into the malevolent entities that haunt the warp's twisted corridors. The more the Imperium fears chaos, the more potent its influence becomes, a vicious cycle of fear and temptation. In the darkest recesses, hidden from the watchful eyes of the ecclesiarchy, secret cults and heretical factions thrive. Their devotion to the Chaos gods remains in shadows, but they feed on the desperation and fear sown by the constant struggle against chaos. The Creed's efforts to suppress knowledge of chaos only strengthen these hidden roots, allowing them to exploit the teachings for their nefarious schemes. Fanaticism, a double-edged sword, takes root in the hearts of the most devout. In their unyielding faith, the Emperor's fervent followers draw the attention of the Chaos gods. Their unwavering loyalty becomes a beacon, a call to the malevolent entities lurking beyond the veil. The Chaos gods, masters of temptation, seek to twist this faith into fanaticism, a corrupted devotion that threatens to consume the souls of the faithful. And chaos itself is not monolithic. It is a swirling storm of conflicting desires and agendas. Chaos undivided, a terrifying concept, unites followers of different factions under a standard banner. The Creed's relentless struggle against chaos might fuel this unity, allowing chaos to exploit the Imperium's divisions. Forbidden law can lead to heresy, and the consequences are dire. I tread the shadows, a guardian of secrets, aware of the dangerous dance between faith and chaos. Ultimately, the Imperial Creed seeks to combat chaos to bolster the Emperor's divine presence. Still, its dogma and zealous teachings may unknowingly strengthen the very forces it strives to oppose. The path of faith and the warp is treacherous, a maze of deception and temptation, best approached with caution and unwavering vigilance. The Emperor's imperial truth and the rise of the imperial cult present a tale of starkly opposing ideologies, woven together in a tapestry of complexity and mystery. The Great Crusade, a time of conquest and unification, was marked by the Emperor's promotion of the imperial truth, a doctrine that sought to purge the galaxy of religious beliefs and superstitions. The imperial truth sought to banish the shadows of faith and belief, viewing them as tools of control and division. The Emperor, a being of immense power and rationality, saw humanity's history of wars and conflicts as products of religious zealotry, fanning the flames of intolerance and hatred. The imperial truth, in its rejection of religion, aimed to unite humanity under a banner of rationalism, science, and the pursuit of knowledge. In the Emperor's vision, the future lay in embracing reason, logic, and the scientific method, leading humanity toward enlightenment and understanding. Old superstitions would be cast aside, mere relics of a primitive past. But like shadows creeping at dusk, the rise of the imperial cult emerged after the Emperor's internment on the Golden Throne. Lorgar, once a loyal son and supporter of the imperial truth, became the harbinger of the Emperor's deification. The worship of the Emperor as a divine figure, a god among men, spread like wildfire, giving birth to the imperial cult. The very thing the imperial truth sought to obliterate had now taken root within the Imperium of man. The impact of this contradiction upon the Imperium was profound. The imperial cult became the dominant ideology, its tendrils extending across the vast expanse of the galaxy, uniting the disparate human population under its banner. The faith in the Emperor's divinity strengthened his psychic presence within the Imperium, giving rise to living saints and other supernatural manifestations. Yet even as the imperial cult held sway, the tension between the imperial truth and worshipping the Emperor as a god remains an ongoing struggle within the Imperium. Some factions, such as the Adeptus Mechanicus, hold fast to the principles of rationality and science, seeking to preserve aspects of the imperial truth. But the fervent devotion of the imperial cult's faithful is a force to be reckoned with, driving the Imperium's actions and policies. Through this lecture, we have glimpsed the paradox of belief, a force that both empowers and endangers us in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. The conviction of billions, a tidal wave of unwavering faith directed towards the divine Emperor, breathes life into the Imperium. Through this faith, the Emperor's presence is amplified, shielding us from the malevolent entities that hunger for our souls. Living saints born from the fervor of our hearts manifest on desperate battlefields, turning the tides of war in our favor. But oh, the shadows cast by the imperial cult, its dogma and zealotry. It unites our fractured worlds under one banner, yet it fans the embers of other gods, the twisted entities of chaos. Our faith, a beacon of light in the warp, becomes the fuel that ignites the dark schemes of chaos, weaving maleficent plots that seek to tear us apart. The tightrope is one of faith and damnation, a delicate balance between salvation and destruction. I urge you to ponder the mysteries of belief and its far-reaching consequences. Faith wields power, but also blinds us to the lurking dangers, the hidden truths that lie in the shadows of our souls. Remember the imperial truth, a beacon of the reason that once sought to shatter the chains of ignorance and superstition. While the imperial cult holds us in its sway, let us not forget the pursuit of knowledge, the quest for understanding that can lift us from the abyss of blind devotion. In this treacherous journey, we must stand firm in our devotion to the Emperor, but ever mindful of the snares that chaos lays in our path. The tides of the Imperium's fate are not solely in the Emperor's hands, they rest in our choices, the knowledge we seek, and the strength of our souls. May the Emperor guide us through these dark times, and may our faith be tempered with the wisdom of ages. In this delicate balance, we find the hope of our salvation. Thank you, and may the light of knowledge illuminate our path. For in knowledge, we find power and the means to navigate the perilous seas of the Imperium.